All right. So, really easy today. And it's word problems. It's actually not that bad. We will get there. But I do want to point out on the board, we have a quiz on Friday. All right. And then we also have, we're going to have like formative practice on Thursday. So it's going to be kind of like that quick solve the last time I was gone, where I have the answer keys posted. And then you can check your work as you're going in, and then you turn it in the basket. Okay? So I'm gone again on Thursday and Friday, potentially. So quiz, no problem. But then that formative work, I just want to make sure you guys have some options to help you out. Okay? So I want you to actually read the problem, and I want you to pick out of the two forms. What was the two forms that we use to write a quadratic?
Vertex and factored.
Vertex and factored. So I'm going to I'll write them on the board here. What's a factored form?
A times x minus r1 and x minus r2.
So that's our factored form, and I would write these down because you're gonna use them for these problems. So you don't have to do it like right at this moment, but at some point. And then vertex form, I'll call it h of x today because I called it b of x last time and kind of got some of us. So I have a, and then you tell me what is vertex form.
Parentheses x minus a squared plus k.
Thank you. All right, so that is our vertex form. So today, the only difference from yesterday is that we have context for the problems. So when we do these problems, I'm actually not going to do a whole lot. I'll start the first one with you to kind of get you warmed up because it's a Monday. But after that, we're going to kind of just I'll give you some time, and then you go ahead and try out the next one. So we're not going to go, we'll go with Max. So Max hits a baseball off a tee that is 3 feet high. The ball reaches a maximum height of 20 feet when it is 15 feet from the tee. So whenever you get a word problem, draw a picture. That's the first thing I look for actually on your test, because you get something like this, is I look for a picture. It tells me that you at least have an understanding of what's going on. And I can't remember if we actually grade having a picture, like we give you a point for that, but I absolutely give points for having a picture because it shows you understand, if your picture is at least correct. So when I see this, Max hits a baseball off a tee that is 3 feet high. This is telling me this is the start. So because that's the start, that means that this is going to be my little tee, the ball's right there, and this starts at 0, and it's at a height of 3. So then our baseball gets hit and reaches a max height of 20 when it is 15 feet from the tee. So it goes up like this, and then it curves back down. And I have no idea where it lands. Okay? I don't have a grid going here. I'm not actually looking for that. I just see it has a maximum height of 20, and that happens 15 feet from the tee. So this I know is 15, and this height I know is 20. So what is important about those points? Or one of those points?
15, 20 is the vertex.
So we have our vertex, so we know our vertex, and we know that because it's a maximum. So that means I'm going to use this formula. So let's plug this stuff in together. Do I know what A is? Oh, come on, give me a head shake at least. Don't do the bobblehead. Do we know what A is? Nah, not sure. All right, let's just leave it as A then. We don't know what X is. We don't know what H of X is. I put those down. What is H? I'm going to have X Give me a sign and give me a number.
Negative 15.
Awesome. I'm going to square that and then tell me what k is. That's 20. So we get plus 20. So, did we know what a is? No. Actually, pretty much all these problems, you notice that we never know what a is. We always find what a is. So the first thing we always do for both of these forms is we plug in what we know. So I either plug in the vertex or I plug in the factors into the factored form. Step 2 is really I find a. And then step 3 is replace a with whatever the number is. And there's lots of different options, right? So, now what? Kind of just told you. Plug in. What point am I plugging in? 0, 3. Awesome. So I'm going to put 3 right here. Okay, that's my y coordinate. And then I'm going to have a, and then I'm going to have not x. I'm going to have 0 minus 15 squared plus 20. We're a little sleepier than what I thought, so I'm going to keep going with you so we get this one down. I don't blame you either. It's kind of a dreary day outside. So we got this. What is negative 15 squared? 225 is perfect. Now remember, when I write this, I'm writing this as 225a plus 20. Because otherwise, a lot of us, even yesterday, or not yesterday, the previous day when we were doing this lesson, kept combining these things. So let's keep going through. So minus 20. Then I divide by 225. What is negative 17 divided by 225? I appreciate all the calculators that are out. That's good. We get some random decimal, right? Okay. I don't want the decimal because it just keeps going on, right? It's just moving and moving and moving, and we don't know exactly what it is. We want the exact answer. Can I reduce this? Do you know how to do that on your calculators? All right. For those of you with a calculator, like this blue one, this TI-30, what you do is you type in your fraction. So I'll type in negative 17 divided by 225, and I hit enter. That gives me that long, nasty number, which I don't want. Then what I do is I just hit the second button, and I hit PRB, which is directly diagonal, and then it shows F to D. And I hit enter, and it spits right back out negative 17 divided by 225. And it does that because it can't reduce that fraction. So this is our simplified form of that fraction. So this is actually going to be A for the problem. It is good to check though, because sometimes they do reduce. Are we done here? I only really ask that if we're not done. So what do we have to do yet? I'm going to write this out. H of x equals
negative 17
and then we just put the rest of our function that we had. So I go ahead and write this out. So x minus 15 squared plus 20. And that right there is our solution. So this is the quadratic that models when Max hit the baseball. And it would follow that baseball perfectly. Any questions? All right, this next one I'm helping you less. So this next one, we have a grasshopper. You know, we like all the animals here. We had our mouse that was trying to jump over the fence. We had our little squirrel that was in the weight room squatting away, trying to increase that jump. Now we got a grasshopper. And so this grasshopper was standing on the 35-yard line of a football field. And he jumped and he landed on the 38-yard line. At the 36-yard line, he was 8 inches high in the air. So, time to draw our picture. You're not getting a grasshopper out of me, it would look terrible. So 35 all the way to 38. This little grasshopper jumps in the air. So that's kind of what our picture looks like. What's the other piece of information that I should put in my picture? How high? Yeah, so I'm going to go at 36. He was at a height of 8 inches, which is the same as writing this as a point, which would be 36, 8. Now I'm going to throw one other thing out there. So I wrote 35 and 38 down, and that follows the information that we were given. However, we can also write these as points. And so I would write this as 35, 0, and I would write this one as 38, 0. That tells us what form we're going to use. So what form are we going to use? Actually heard like someone whisper, factor. It's coming over. All right, so we got factored form. So I got f of x equals, I'm going to put a down right away because we never know a at the start. And then I'm going to have x and x. And I want you to tell me, what do I fill in the rest of the parentheses with? Are they going to be positive or negatives? Yeah, they're both negative. So since they're both positive here, we have to remember we're flipping to get back. So this is negative 35 and negative 38. Now I'm going to start plugging in our point, 36, 8, to get you going. But then I'm going to let you finish that problem off and finish out what a is. So we put 8 right here. This is our y coordinate. Don't know what a is. And then I have 36 minus 35. And then I have 36 minus 38. And so I will give you about a minute and then proceed where we're at. As I was walking around, I saw a really nice thing, so good job to all of you. Now, does it make sense that our A is negative? Yeah, I got something shaking. It does make sense. Because remember, A is telling us which direction our concavity is. So it makes sense that this would be concave down, right? Because if you jump, you're going to go up, but then you do have to fall back to earth, okay? Gravity kicks us. So last thing, I will replace A up here with -4. Questions? When you're ready, you can flip the page to the next one. Anyone in here ever done like cliff jumping? Yeah? Where? Okay, Door County. Nice. Yeah. Was it in the Great Lake or was it just around there? Okay. All right. Anyone else? Where'd you go? Yeah. Pretty common actually. Anyone do like a bridge or anything? The bridges they get kind of scary because you don't always know what's flowing under it if it's a river. All right. So we're looking at this person. I'm going to put a little platform up here. So that's the cliff. They climbed up it. And so this person jumps off of a cliff that is 20 feet high above the water. She reaches her highest point of 24 feet high when she's 8 feet from the edge of the cliff. You go ahead and try drawing the picture. Then I'm going to draw a picture and we'll compare. So something like that. You definitely do not have to have all those markings on there, but if you have the points, that's really what I'm looking for. Could you connect the points to where they should approximately be? And then you just have a very general sketch of what we're looking at. So that's what we got. Any questions on the picture? We do all right? All right. What form are we going to use? What form are we using? All right, I'll actually just give you 3 minutes. Go ahead and do the problem.
Do some functions here.
All right, we did pretty good, at least at identifying which form we want to use. And then sometimes we got a little stuck, sometimes we're doing all right. So I'll write this one up here. So I'm going to have x minus h in there, which is 8. So based off our highest point. So again, anytime you have a highest or a lowest or a min or a max, it is talking about vertex form. And then we go ahead and we plug this other point in. And so I'm going to plug in 20 for the y. And I'm going to put in 0 for my x. And so that right there is just going to be 64. So I'm going to put that. So 64a plus 24. And then we do some work. And what we find is a unique answer. Kind of. What do you think of that? What should it be? Yeah, it does reduce down. So I get negative 1/16 as my a. So then my vertex form will just be f of x. And I purposely changed this from v of x to f of x because it really doesn't matter what we name it. So it can be h of x, g of x, whatever, it's just a function. And then we go ahead and write this out. Questions? All right. This last one, does anyone need more time with this? I'm happy to wait. Okay, I want you to have all this down. All right. This last one, I'm going to help you draw the picture just because sometimes it gets confusing for some people. So we have a football field. How does a football field work in terms of yards? So let's say we have our end zones. What is that yard line? If it's from the end zone, what is it? It's the 10. And then we go to the 20, and then the 30, then the 40, and then the 50. Then what happens? We go to the 60? No. You go to the 40, and then it goes back down. All right, so that's what we got. So it says a golf ball is hit from the 20-yard line of the home team side of a football field and lands at the 20-yard line of the opponent side. So I'm just going to make this the home side. Okay, so I hit the ball from here, and it goes all the way over to there. Okay? Now, in terms of a grid, that doesn't make any sense because our grid does continue counting forward. So if I make this 0, okay, and I count along this, When I do get to 50, I do change that. This is 60, this is 70, this is 80. So the number that we're going to use for our factor is actually 80. And it also tells us when it's at the 40-yard line of the home teams, so that'd be right here, it is 30 yards in the air. Is that a vertex? Does it tell us it's the highest point? Or the lowest point? Or a max or a min? No. So you can't assume it's a vertex. It's also not the vertex. It wouldn't make sense to be. But we have our two things right here. So I'm telling you it's in factor form. Let's write the factors out together. And then after that, I'm going to let you go ahead and plug that point in. So I have this. What are my two factors going to be? I know about half of you have it on your paper. Because when I walked around the last time, over half of us had it on our paper. So what are we thinking? X is going to be X minus or plus, first of all. Minus, good. And it will be that for both of them. And then we just take these numbers, so 20 and 80. Really the thing I'm concerned about is the signs. Okay, so thank you for answering that. So we got 20 and we got 80. All right, you take this point then and you plug it in and you figure out A. I'll be walking around, I can answer any questions that you have. This is our last problem. As I'm walking around, I'm seeing a lot of good things. So you should feel pretty good. And even the mistakes that I do see on some of your papers, they're good mistakes to have right now. Okay? So this is why we give you practice problems after this. Okay? So you should be feeling pretty good right now. So I'm going to plug 30 in. And 40. What do I get for this number? Do I get negative 80? Or do I get negative 800? Yeah. So a couple of us were just doing our calculations quick and had 80 down, but so we do end up with negative 800. Divide both sides. And that's simplified. So 3 divided by negative 80 is what A is. If you have like the tens like that you can cancel out, don't even use your calculator, just get it done. If you want to check it, that's always fine. But so I end up with that. So A is equal to negative 3 over 80. So I'm going to bring that back up here and write that in. Just to kind of recap what we did today, the biggest thing that I always want to see is I always want to see a picture. Like that is the most important thing for these problems. So if you're doing the homework and you're like, I don't know where to start, the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is do a picture every time, okay? If you have the picture, then I'll start talking to you about the forms, okay? But before we actually do the problem, before we get that picture down, the forms don't even really matter. So do the picture, choose one of the forms, and then start going through it that way. Okay? I'll have the answer key posted up there, and if you got questions from any of the homework assignments, please let me know. Okay?